Okay, so what I want to show today in this tutorial is a brief introduction to ModelBuilder and give you at least one example on how you could use it. And if you know how to utilize ModelBuilder, you can make complex geoprocessing functions much easier and also more straightforward. So that's what we're going to do today, and we're going to use some data sets that we should be able to find quite readily for this example, and hopefully you can see how that demonstration or how that works through this demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use catalog here. So I'm going to get my catalog pane open, and the first thing I need to do is add a database. And you can add your files however you want. This is just the easiest way for me, and I'm going to add this United States GDB. And what I have in this geo database, scoot this over a little bit, is I have a set of files for Colorado. So I've got counties, I've got streets, I've got some urban areas that are around the Denver metro area, I've got some water features. So I'm going to load some of these in just so you can see what they look like to start with. So here's our streets. In fact, I don't want to use that one because that one has already been combined. So I'm going to use 1 and 2, and these are separate pieces. So you can see how this is in Jefferson County, that is in Denver County, and this is the urban area for Jefferson County, and this is the urban area for Denver County. Water features for Jefferson, water features for Denver. And to add a little bit of complexity to this, I'm not going to use the CO or the Colorado counties. I think that's too easy. So we're going to go ahead and use the US counties to better demonstrate some of the tools in ModelBuilder. So I'm going to pin my catalog away. Now that I've got things loaded, you can sort of see that I've got counties for the entire United States along with those data sets that are pertinent to Denver and Jefferson counties. And the goal of this tutorial is to show you ModelBuilder, but how you can use it to basically run a lot of your geoprocessing, a lot of your work to narrow things down, to combine things that would normally take several iterations. And this will streamline the process quite a bit. There's more than one way to get to ModelBuilder. My preferred way is to go into the catalog and to go into your toolboxes, and just like you have a default database that is created when you create your project in ArcGIS Pro, you also have a toolbox. So if you right-click on your toolbox for that project, you can actually go New Model. Okay, and this brings up a blank screen. So it's not going to be very intuitive right off the bat, but I think once I pull a few tools in here, you'll see very quickly how we use this. So I can pull any tool, I can pull any data set into this, and then I can make any kind of manipulations with those things, just like I would if I'm just using the tool independently. But this allows me to combine tools together. So I'm going to start by pulling in from my catalog a couple of those files. So let's just start with streets. So I'm going to pull in streets 1, and then I'm going to go back to my catalog, pull in streets 2. So now I've got these two things here, and I'm going to shift these over. So these two ovals represent obviously those data sets, and you can shift these around in just about any orientation you want. So I've got these two data sets now. Let's run a merge in ModelBuilder. So normally, if we're just going to merge these once, it sort of doesn't make sense to put this into ModelBuilder. But if I'm going to run this over and over and over again, it might make sense to do this. So I'm going to start by just performing a simple merge on these two to make one Colorado Streets. So I'm going to go to my tools here. I can also just go to tools from the geoprocessing. See, that would be under my project. That would be under I guess I'm in ModelBuilder. It wants me to run this way. So I can click on this and it'll bring up this dialog. I can also hit the drop down. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to type in merge here. And again, you can type it over here. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to use this one right here. And I'm going to grab it, drag it, and bring it in. And now that it's shifted everything over, I'm going to move things over here because I want to be able to do a few things with this. So you notice merge is grayed out at this point, and it's missing pieces, right? Just like if I was going to use the merge dialog, it needs some pieces. So if I double click here, you can see I need input data sets, I need an output data set. I haven't defined any of those yet. So that's my first thing, is I need to do that. Now once I've done that, this thing will become lit with colors, and then I know it's working right. If it's grayed out, then I know I've got a problem. So I'm going to take my Colorado streets, and I'm going to click once, hold it, and drag to merge that arrow. Okay, and then once I've done that, it wants me to define what that is. And in this case, I really don't have a lot of options. This is an input data set. Merge just says, hey, I want to take these two data sets and I want to put them together. So I've done the same thing for Colorado Streets 2, and then here I'm left with everything connected and everything is lit, so I know it's going to work. So I'm going to click on this output data set. I'm just going to double click to give it a new name. This is going to go into the default geodatabase. If you don't want to do that, then you need to move it. Okay, you need to hit browse and put it into the database that you want it to do. So I'm going to call this CO Streets Combined, something like that. Okay, and now I've got all those pieces put together. Now I can run merge on more than one set. So if I go back to my catalog here, if I want to put the urban areas together, see, if I hold the shift button, I can drag both of those in here to sort of speed things up. Yep, that's what I want. And sometimes it doesn't know what I want to do. Go back to my tools here. I'm just going to show you from here. I can type in merge and I get the same utility, okay? Because I already have one merge, this is now merge 2. And I click and drag those in and set those as input data sets. And then I'm going to go here and call these CO urban areas combined and hit OK. Okay, so now I've got those pieces. I had one more, so I'm going to go back to my catalog, and that was the water. So I'm going to drag both of those in, shift them over. So you can see when I run the model, it's going to do all these processes at once. So I have to try to run things independently. Now, if you're not sure about the process, this is not the way to go, because you might make a mistake in there and it may be semi-difficult to debug. So make sure you're confident in sort of the tools you're using and how they're using. So again, I'm going to set my input data sets, and then I'm going to set this as CO water combined. Okay, so now if I run this merge, and I'm not going to run it yet because there's other things I want to do, it will merge all of these and create these output data sets. That's great. Now what I want to do in addition to that is I want to clip things within an urban area. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my urban areas merged, but I want the streets and the water, and let's pull in one more, and that's the US cities. Okay, because I'm going to want all those within those urban areas. So I want everything clipped to these urban areas. And so I'm going to have cities, I'm going to have the water, and I'm going to have the streets all clipped within that. So let's go ahead and pull in clip. And I'm going to have to clip, oops, I didn't even meant to turn that, pull that in here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this a few times because I need more than one iteration of it, because I'm going to be clipping the streets, the water, and the US cities against the urban area. So again, you can sort of set this however you want. I'm just going to leave these like this right here, and you should be able to rename these things. So if I want to call this streets clip, I kind of know which one it is, so I'm going to rename this one here. And this is going to be water clip. And then the last one here will be cities clip. Okay, so I might as well pull some things in. So when you use clip, you need a couple things. You need an input feature or data set. That's what's going to be made smaller. And you need a clip feature, which is going to be sort of the cookie cutter that you're going to cut it with. So in this case, for streets, I'm going to drag the result from the combined into this one, and that's going to become my input feature data set. Now, same thing here with the water. That's my input. And then US cities, yeah, I'm going to cross over some things here. That's fine. And then all these are going to be clipped by the Colorado urban area. So now I'm going to drag that up to streets, clip, and that is my clip features. Same thing here. I'm going to also take the Colorado urban areas, drag another arrow into water clip, make that the clip feature. And same thing here with the cities, drag a third arrow out of the combined urban areas and make that my clip feature. So now if I run this, all these three new data sets will be clipped against the urban area. So I'm going to change the name of this, and this would be urban streets. And again, these are going to go in your default geodatabase unless you define it otherwise. This is urban water. And this one right here is urban cities. Okay, I've got everything I need there. So that, once I run that, we'll do all those pieces together. Now, there is a third thing I would like here, and that would be a fourth thing I would like, and that would be the counties which encompass the urban areas. So just the counties itself. So I have the US counties already. I think I can just drag it right from my contents pane. Okay, and I have to do something different here because I'm not going to be clipping it. I'm not going to be merging it. I want it selected and exported into its own. So the tool for that is called select. So I'm going to go into my tools here, and it's disappeared right there. So I'm going to call that select. I'm going to call it, that's what it is. So I'm going to drag select in here. Okay, and the nice thing about this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to drag US counties into select to make that an input feature. Then I've got to right click on this because right now it's going to select all the counties, and that's not what I want. I only want Jefferson and Denver counties. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to create a variable from a parameter through an expression. Okay, again, that's a right click, create variable from parameter through an expression. So there's my expression there. And of course I need to define it. So now I'm going to double click on that. And this is where I just like a definition query, I'm going to actually go ahead and define what that is. Okay, so I've got this expression set up, and again, it is very similar to definition query. I'm going to set a field here, and in this case, I'm going to do the name is equal to, just type in Jefferson, and I also need it to be in the state of Colorado, because if you do it any differently, there's multiple Jefferson counties in the United States. So I'm going to do or name is equal to Denver, and I'm probably going to go ahead and add the state name in there because even though there's only one Denver county, it's just good habit to get into to make sure you're narrowing down your selection to exactly what you need. Okay, so that's going to take care of pulling out Jefferson and Denver counties, and I'm going to call this DenJeff CO. Okay, so if I've done everything right, I'll hit the validate here. If there's any problems, It should crop up when I hit that. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and run this. It's going to make its way through this process and put everything in the default geodatabase. So it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to leave my model here and go into here. I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these pieces that I've built previous, and then I'm going to go into the catalog, and then I'm going to go into the default geodatabase. Now, sometimes you do have to right-click and refresh this to make sure they're there, but you can see here are my combined streets. Here are my combined urban areas. Here are my combined water areas. Okay, so now the goal was to narrow those down. It's still going to create just those combined ones, but here are my urban area only ones. So you can see if I load the urban areas combined on top of that, or I'm sorry, below that, everything is within it. So it's done the clip as I expected. On top of that, the Denver and Jefferson counties show up as I want them to be. And I could go ahead and merge those if I wanted to, but where I've selected them, I think that's fine. So that's sort of the short of the skinny of how to use ModelBuilder to do multiple processes at once. And if this is something you'd have to run over and over, so let's say your streets get amended, your urban areas get amended, your water gets amended, a new city gets incorporated, something like that, then you wouldn't have to do this all over. It would be saved within your project, and you could just hit the run and it would go through this processing again. So I hope that was helpful for you, and let me know if you have any questions.